Just turn to the reason why I am sitting here in Washington, D.C. in the first place. I was just absolutely honored this morning to sit in the Afghan embassy with the former First Lady Laura Bush, who's so generous, and the current First Lady of Afghanistan, Rula Ghani. The First Ladies are on Capitol Hill today talking to lawmakers about their work as co-chairs of the U.S. Afghan Women's Council, a group helping to return to Afghan women the voice that they lost really under the Taliban rule. And I started our wide-ranging conversation about their work to help empower Afghan women. Mrs. Bush and Mrs. Ghani, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. And first, just Mrs. Bush, we know you are so dedicated to women's issues, but it was especially after 9/11. We remember the radio address and your passion for Afghan women specifically. But for people who don't know, why Afghanistan?
Well, after September 11th, when the spotlight turned on Afghanistan, American women were shocked, really, at the plight of the life of women in Afghanistan. I mean, at that time, women couldn't walk out on the street by themselves. They were not allowed to be educated, which is really shocking. And what you see when half of a population is left out, like it was then in Afghanistan, is a failed country. And that's what we saw. And of course, Afghan women really have a very, very long history of being strong women, and what we've gotten to see since then is Afghan women bloom across Afghanistan.
As the co-chairs of the U.S. Afghan Women's Council, you were in Washington, D.C. for a very important reason today. And Mrs. Ghani, to the U.S.-Afghanistan relationship is very important, especially when we talk about empowering women. What is your message to American lawmakers in Washington today?
What I would like to say is that during those now almost 16 years, women have progressed tremendously in Afghanistan.
How?
They're more visible. You start seeing women in government organizations. You start seeing them in the private sector. We have now, for example, a Women's Chamber of Commerce. We have many more girls studying. We have them also at the university. So women are a little bit everywhere. But what is really very important is that it's not just that they are being visible, they're also starting to speak up.
For women in this country, I'd be remiss not to ask about this watershed moment for women in America. The strength of women, and I should also point out men now, speaking up. There's been a watershed moment on speaking up about sexual harassment. And you're a mother. You're a mother of 2 girls. What is your message to women in this country?
I don't have a message particularly to my girls. I know how strong Barbara and Jenna are. That they respect themselves and they expect respect from the people they associate with, and I think that's what American women should do.
What about just the reports about your father-in-law, President George H.W. Bush, and he acknowledged, he apologized. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, I'm just sad that we've come to this. That was something that was very, very innocent. He's been accused of. But I know he would feel terrible. He would never in any way hurt anybody.
Your daughters left notes for the Obama girls when you all left the White House, and I'm just curious if you, 8 years in the White House, did you, as the last Republican administration, leave anything for Melania? Have you had any conversations with the current First Lady?
Sure. I've talked to Melania. I've been back. I had tea with her and saw all the staff. She very nicely had the whole White House staff standing around the oval of the diplomatic reception room, because the people that work there, that's their job always. They're permanent employees. So I got to say hello to the chef and to the butlers and to the ushers and to all the people that work there.
Any message to Melania in particular
that you could share? Well, I just think she's doing a lovely job. She's a beautiful woman. She's a wonderful representative for the United States.
Lastly, it's a very different administration than that of you and your husband in 8 years. What is it like watching the Trump administration?
Well, I wish them the very, very best. I know what it's like to live there. I know how difficult every decision is and what the scrutiny is by everyone that has an opinion. Every single person has an opinion on the people that live there, and I'm certainly aware of that. But I wish them the very best, and I think that's what every American should wish for the people that live in the White House, since they are our president and our first family.
The interview went on so much more from there, and I'm so looking forward to sharing the stories of the three women sitting behind the First Ladies, Manisha and Onaba from Afghanistan. They joined us to share in conversation, share their amazing stories about overcoming odds in this particular country, you know, especially through education. That kept coming up. Education is empowerment for these women, and entrepreneurship, and working with the First Ladies to really pay it forward. So we're going to have those inspiring stories for you on CNN.com. I'm Brooke Baldwin here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for being with me.